Hello YouTube, I'm David with the David West channel. Well, I've been anxious to get out here for days, but it's been raining and raining. And I think it's supposed to clear up a little bit. Going to be a little bit sunny today for a few hours, and then it's going to be overcast for another couple of days. But today's Sunday, and ever since Saturday night when I saw Nathaniel's Adventures do a new Ferro Rod technique, I've been anxious to get out here and try it out. You know how we usually take a Ferro Rod, and whether we pin the tinder down or whether we draw back on the Ferro Rod, we're casting sparks onto our tinder. He showed a way that looked really promising, looks great, of taking and wrapping the tinder around the striker, what you're using to scrape the Ferro Rod, and then going ahead and igniting it like that. It looked to me like the paper he was using, it looked like the paper tore just a little hole in it where it was being scraped across the Ferro Rod, and those scrapings of the Ferro Rod were shoved up inside, jammed up inside the paper in between the scraper and the paper. So we'll try that today. In a few applications, we'll try it with some pine needles, and if we can get leaves to wrap around the knife blade, we'll try leaves that way. And I want to try fabric that way, because fabric can be difficult to light. Not going to need it on cotton balls, because it's a one strike anyways. And probably not going to need it on jute twine. It's sort of a one strike. And sort of questionable about whether we need it on the newspaper, because newspaper, oh, it's wet. Everything is soaking wet out here. This piece is dry, because newspaper ignites pretty easily. So that's what we don't need it on. What we do need it on is fabric. So let me wrap this on the knife. Matter of fact, I'm going to make use of this tattered end on my sock, and let's just put it on there one layer, because it sort of has to wear through. Hold on. So it has to wear through the sock to get down to the spine on the knife. So let's see if it'll work on fabric. It was lit up. Let's try it again. Now that sock should be full of those shavings. So if we can get those shavings to ignite, it'll probably ignite the sock. Let's try it again. Let's try it right here. Now remember, we got to keep striking against that sock until it wears through to the knife spine. And as you saw, that trapped a bunch of those shavings. That's why it wouldn't ignite. Look at, this isn't cotton. You could tell by all that black smoke that there's all kinds of man-made materials, rayons and polyesters in that sock. So, but something like this does make a good fire starter for wet tinder. So that didn't really show anything. Let me cast some sparks onto this other part of the sock. Casting sparks looks like it may be better for this. Good night. This is a terrible material to try to ignite. Right. Now, I think it should do a good job on this terry cloth. Let's try it. Let's see what it'll do on the terry cloth. Well, I don't know. This technique might not be as great as I thought it was going to be. Now let's cast sparks onto this. And we'll do it like the last one caught because we got onto these fine threads right here. So let's be smart about it and cast into these threads here. It's ignited, you just can't see the flame. Just went out. So far the old method, casting sparks, is better than what I was so excited about. I know you can't see that flame, but it's burning. It's burning good. All right. T-shirt material. I hope you will go over and check Nathaniel's adventure. Go check out his trial with this technique, because he did a lot better with it than I am. But I mean, he was using paper, and I don't have any like notebook paper or copy paper, and this is very ignitable. This isn't equal to what he was using. All right, let's try to ignite t-shirt material. It ignited pretty easily with that technique. but who's to say it won't ignite just as easily with casting sparks on it? So let's try casting some sparks on it. It's still full of shavings. You can see where it would capture shavings underneath there, so you would just have to get one ignited spark and then shake those shavings over onto it. Alright, let's see if casting sparks is going to be just as good as Nathan's technique. Well, let's see what happens if we go ahead and try it this way again. I think it's ignited. Can't tell. Yeah, it's ignited. So these very unscientific experiments, it looks like that is a better technique to ignite t-shirt material. Alright, what do we want to try next? Alright. Now you would think that pine needles, there's no problem igniting them. And sometimes there isn't when you process them up. But they can be difficult to ignite. Sometimes it can take 6 or more strikes when you're casting sparks down onto them to get them to go. So if this would be a good tinder to wrap around that blade, getting my tinder as close to that spark as you possibly could is what's going on. Let's see if pine needles is a good candidate. Pretty good. Let's see if leaves are a good candidate for that technique. Now I recommend that you don't use a razor sharp knife like I've got for this technique unless you use gloves. I've worn through to the Ferro Rod. That's what it is. The beauty of this technique is that you capture so many of the shavings, and once you finally get a spark, those other shavings will ignite, and it can't help but make tinder go to flame. So did we try everything? Newspaper, cotton, jute, it's kind of hard to beat our old technique though, isn't it? the one that we're so used to, like casting sparks onto pine needles. Let's see, let's cast sparks onto these and see if we can get ignition the first time we cast onto it. I don't know, I guess I overreacted. The Saturday night when I saw him doing that, I thought to myself, that makes perfect sense. Why haven't we been bringing the tinder that much closer to where the actual spark is actually being created? And I couldn't wait to get out here and try it, but we had all this rain. Yeah, it's basically the same. On a good tinder, it's pretty much the same, isn't it? Now leaves are going to be aggravating no matter what you do. Whether it's with that new technique or whether you're casting sparks on them, leaves are going to be difficult. So let's go ahead and cast some sparks on these. Oh, we haven't used the old hickory. Let's use the old hickory. Had a flame, but I think it went out. Good night, that took forever. Alright, y'all. I don't know how I'm going to edit this video to make it into something that's worth watching, but okay. Maybe I got a little too excited about that other technique, but I'll go ahead and use it, and it's something good to keep in mind. What about all the times when you are actually trying to collect up shavings off of a ferro rod? That would be a great way to quickly collect up shavings for when you want to pile it up next to a difficult tinder and then ignite the shavings. So, you know, maybe it could be used in that capacity. All right, y'all. I appreciate you joining me on this one. We'll catch you on the next one.